I go to both,
On
because I
both.
live right in the middle between the two.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna start, I guess at 3:10. I don't see any members of the public, so, and I have not heard from any members of the public. Any questions on the minutes? All right, all in favor of accepting the minutes as printed? Aye.
Approved.
So you can post those. So we had our first Harwich talk by the Cape Light Compact in conjunction with the Eastham, Orleans, and Harwich organizations, and there was like 4 people there. So not very well attended. The people that did come were very interested and, got a lot of information and were happy about it. So I guess I'm going to have to, maybe for the one that's going to be up at the community center in
What's it?
June, maybe try to
When
get
will
some,
that be?
June, I forget the dates on that. I'll get you those.
You think I'm gonna do it yourself?
I think we passed these out before, but I'll give you each another one. So if you guys could at least show up on the one that's in Harwich.
22nd.
I was all by myself out there.
You gotta pick a rainy day.
Yeah. Like I can find a rainy day. So we're due we're June 22nd, and it's a Saturday from 11 to 12. So try to be there. I guess the one in Eastham Public Library, I guess that had like 10, 15 people. We had almost nobody. I don't know what the May 15th one was. I haven't heard back, as to what the
So the April 25th was the one that held me at
20,
4.
22nd.
April.
Oh, April 25th. Yeah, that was the one that was the first one. That was in Eastham. Ours was May 9th at the library, and nobody came.
Nobody?
Well,
Zero?
We had, I went and my husband went, but I don't think we count. We had 3 other people.
That's terrible. You need to publicize this stuff, and it needs to be in the Chronicle or something.
It was.
But you know something?
Yes, it was. It was on the radio. It was.
But people are only thinking of their gardens.
Yeah.
This is garden time.
Right. Yeah. But it is what it is. If this is an
But
experiment.
maybe
you know.
we should keep that in mind.
Well, by June, I think the gardens
Maybe-
are over.
yeah, fall maybe or
Yeah.
sometime.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't the only one setting these dates. They wanted it. I mentioned fall, but they really, really wanted to get it started. They may do it again. I mean, they may want to do this, have it all, do another series in the fall. But anyway, so that's the update on that.
Yeah.
Cape Light Compact update. So if our next meeting, which I tentatively put down here, is June 17th, we'll have to talk about that later, but somebody from Cape Light Compact wants to come and talk to us and just keep us up to date on some of the more complicated things that are,
Did you just give us the date for the next meeting?
if everybody can come on June 17th.
Is that a Monday?
It's a Monday.
At 3 o'clock again?
3 o'clock, yep, same thing. But there'll be a member from Cape Light Compact staff coming to just
Shell?
brief us on stuff that's happening. They just want to touch base with the energy committees.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
We can use that.
yep. So they're coming.
So there's no particular topic then?
No, I don't think so. I think there are new programs. I told you about that big chunk of money that we got, for solar panels, and they're low-income programs where they do 100% of everything, including solar panels, heat pumps, insulation, that type of stuff. So there's some new stuff coming down the pike that they just want to make sure everybody is aware of and up to speed on. Anything from CVEC?
Our meeting is on Thursday.
On Thursday, so next meeting you might have something. Okay, could you just do quarterlies, right? Yeah. EV charging stations, anything new on that, or are we still just sort of treading water?
I had sent out two or three of these articles that I cut out of the Chronicle to everybody, and just today, I don't know if you got it or not yet, but it talks about, one of them talks about Chatham trying to investigate, and they said there's $50,000 available, and one of them is from Brewster, and they're very interesting articles, and it's surprising that somebody like Don Howell doesn't get a hold of this and say, well, maybe we ought to join the bandwagon here, because all these other towns are doing this, but Harwich is silent.
I have no explanation. It's not like they're unaware of what we're doing. Don Howell gets copies of all of our minutes.
I sent a copy of these things to him.
Good, yeah.
Here's the response from
okay.
Bill Powers. I just got this today.
Ah,
I'm working on identifying a satisfactory funding source to supplement a request to Eversource. It was supposed to have been on the agenda for the town meeting.
it never made it.
I know. It wasn't happening. Once I have ascertained funds available, I will reach out to you to follow up on my next steps in the project. It is my understanding that the town is only contemplating site at Schoolhouse Lane. If you are discussing this topic at your meeting, please let me know if your committee is seeking the town pursuing additional locations, if any. I believe at our last meeting, you know, I mentioned what they were doing in Barnstable
Right.
for such a small amount,
Right.
and that for $10,000 they're having multiple stations put in. And I could convey all that information to Joe. So I figured something that they thought was going to be $25,000 to $30,000, now you put in $5,000 for $10,000. I thought if the money's there, then we ought to consider multiple locations.
Right.
So when I get back to them, would it be okay if I said yes? The committee
Right.
originally discussed one.
Right.
We absolutely want to get that one done, but because of the information that we sent you about the low cost, if you raised enough money from the town, would you consider putting in X, Y, and Z?
Right.
So if I was to send that email to him, where would X, Y, and Z be in addition to the schoolhouse parking lot?
Well, I think the schoolhouse was the more obvious one, because that gets used a lot,
That's
you
the
know.
best one,
It's
and-
right downtown and
Yeah.
everything. But, I mean, I think we have many public buildings. We have 204.
Yes.
We have the library. We have Brooks Park. I mean, there's, you know, I don't know. The library probably would be the next best place, because it does get used a
The
lot.
library or the community center?
But
Yeah.
community center's probably the better place. Yeah,
Okay, so if I was to pick two.
right. Schoolhouse,
No,
and
I
I'd
mean,
like,
Other than schoolhouse.
Right.
If I was to pick two others, library and Brooks Park?
no, library and community center. Community center definitely, because there's so much room there, and I would rather put one or two at schoolhouse.
This is what this article quotes here. They were talking about Brewster. He said, this guy is quoting, he said, if my research is right, Massachusetts will pay 80% for an installation up to $50,000 if it is publicly available. There's a fair amount of money out there. We have to figure out how to go after it. And then he says, I cannot believe that the town would not be willing to accept $50,000 towards the cost of a charger for
Yeah.
checking a box that says it's available to the public when the town doesn't have a car plugged in there.
Right, yeah, that's,
Everything you wrote,
we
you
are-
read is.
he already knows that, yeah, and they already know that. You know, so it's not, our problem is that our town is embroiled in so many things right now. I mean, the whole wastewater thing, the whole debacle with the Brooks Academy that took up hours of selectmen meeting time. So the selectmen and, so it's hard to get something like this out there, because only Joe Powers is working on it. It's like, if he doesn't do it, nobody does it. You know, there's not another staff person whose job it is to do this.
Are there any towns, now I know Barnstable has
Right.
that kid that they hired
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
full-time, which is a home run. Are there any other towns out there that are similar in size to Harwich that have gone and gotten somebody to assist the town
Yeah,
manager?
Eastham, Orleans, and Brewster,
Are they
or
sharing?
Chatham,
Yeah,
remember they're sharing
They're
somebody,
sharing.
yeah,
I discussed that last time, I put that all in the minutes somewhere.
right. But that doesn't help us, I mean, that's,
Where are they excluded again?
Were
well,
we-
because we didn't even know it was happening. I didn't know, nobody asked me, you know, so, and our select people, it boggles the mind to think that our select people are not in communication with the select people in Brewster, the select people in Chatham, the select
Yeah.
people in Barnstable. Do they not have like an organization where they can bounce ideas off of each other and share this kind of thing? Or do we live in this little isolated pod? I have a feeling that our select people don't get out much, you know?
What's the title of the person?
I have
that's
no
for town
idea.
chair?
I have no
You
idea.
know what the title is?
No, I mean, I can find it out for you, but,
And it's Brewster,
Which person?
Brewster, Eastham, and Orleans?
I think so. Air energy person. I'll find out. But that still doesn't help us. We're stuck with what we got. We're stuck with Joe. He's the one that is gonna make this go forward or not. If we can get Don Howell on board, then maybe the selectmen can get behind it, you know, and get it moving.
What
They
does-
have to know that these programs are available. Obviously, Joe, what I'm afraid of is that every time you talk to Joe, he just nods his head, and as soon as you walk out the door, you know,
I've got the same feeling
it goes to
now.
the,
I do.
goes to the bottom of the pile. He's not doing any research. He's not saying, well, let me look up whatever Glenn told me, let me go look at that.
Yeah, and also he's leaving in 8 months or 10 months, isn't he? He's
Not that we know.
Well, I thought I read that he was going to be our administrator for 1 more year, and then
Well, his contract is for a year. That doesn't, they might renew it. I mean,
Ah.
he tried to get a job someplace else, and
I
it fell
know,
through.
I know.
And then we hired him and gave him a raise, but the contract is for only a year. So
Yeah.
at the end of that
That-
year,
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
assumed, that at the end of the year he
Did
goes.
Did you,
no,
but
at the end of the year,
that's
they
the wrong
renegotiate.
assumption.
again,
Yeah.
to
Okay.
Joe Powers?
Multiple letters, and we've had meetings. He's got all the information.
He has every piece of
Could you send me
information.
a copy of the letter?
I sent you what I sent to Joe Powers. I sent that.
Okay, that was last month?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's no different than this month then? Okay, all right.
So anyway,
We
I
are,
don't know what else to do.
our
um,
chart says that we are supported, but we are not supported.
We're supposed to support them. They're not supposed to support us. I mean, so
But this is our chart.
the committee is supported by the town, but yeah, all they do is, the only support that we get is they give us a room. So I don't know what to tell you guys. We don't have the authority per se to pursue some of the, you know, to make application for any of this. I mean, that, it has to come from the town. But anyway. Was that in this week's Chronicle, or?
It was in.
Last week?
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah.
One was 1 week, one was the next week. Glenn says the copy I sent out to you, I scanned it, he said it was blurry, so
yeah.
I'm sorry, but
Well, it's not-
You can always get it on, I mean, you can always go to the Chronicle online and look at back issues.
Well, as far as EV charging, we got bit in the butt, the whole country did in the wintertime with the issues and the cold weather in the Midwest. Ford is running into trouble with their electric cars, so that they're pulling back on some of the things that they made. And it's an election year with one side
Once you shut it down.
that says, first thing we'll do is shut this whole thing down. So people are leery about buying electric vehicles right now. And I will say, there's one legitimate concern, is when you travel long distances. That's the only concern, because, yes, you
'Cause-
find places where the charging station might not be up and running, or, you know, Tesla did it right with having multiple stations throughout the country. I mean, that was a smart thing that they did, but I keep hearing, oh, we don't have the infrastructure. Well, we didn't have gas stations either in 1915.
Right, when they, cars first came
Exactly
out.
right, when they had horse and buggies,
Yeah.
and you said, well, I can't drive any place, there's
Right.
not a gas station down there.
Exactly,
No, I
exactly.
was,
And no roads back
no,
then
I know,
either.
I just
Yeah.
came back from Iceland
Yeah.
for spent 2
Yeah.
weeks over there, and they are almost all electric over there.
Yeah.
I mean, they have hydropower for dams, electric hydropower, and they have geothermal power.
Right, well,
And they pipe the pipes to all the
Yeah.
houses in Reykjavik and heat them for free almost. And electric power is almost free, and the gasoline is like $12 a gallon.
Right.
One third of their cars are either hybrid or electric
Right,
vehicles.
right.
And they're charging stations all over the place there.
Yeah.
Everybody is endorsing it because they have to import all their gasoline.
Well,
over there.
Hawaii is
It's
the
like
same
an island.
place. You go to
So
Hawaii,
all these
everything's
island-type
electric.
countries that have to import oil and gas.
They've already done it.
They're heading full
Yeah.
blast for this kind of stuff.
Part of our problem is that we still have large corporations that make their money in gas and oil. And
That's it.
until,
And politicians supporting them.
and being supported by them. Yeah.
Both
Um,
ways.
And so it's very, very, very difficult for
Yeah.
this country to
Yeah.
move, because we are, right now, we are the #1 oil producer
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And you think of all the people that are employed by these companies. You know, so it's like pushing a rock uphill, really. But you got to chip away at it, you know, little by little. And you can't, you know, what's that saying? You can't destroy
Lead a
the
horse
good
to
waiting for
water.
the perfect. You know, you've got to just try to do something.
Yeah, Patton had that quote, he said, a good plan enacted with vigor is a lot better than the perfect plan that you can never
Right.
figure out.
How to do it, you know, so, all right, so we'll just, maybe,
I'll arrange for another
Yeah.
meeting with him, and I'll send him an email tomorrow
right.
saying, hey, yes, we did ask for one is fine,
Did you send, did he get these articles?
not these, no.
So why don't we make sure he gets those articles? Can Glenn take those articles?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Can you make a copy to give to Joe? And, you
That's
know,
what I'll do, is I'll make copies when I get home.
yeah, and then highlight the stuff and
Send
say,
me back a readable copy, okay?
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Charlie's already highlighted the two most important
Yeah.
paragraphs.
You know, just to let, you know, that we're not doing this in a vacuum. I mean, this is something the rest of the Cape is doing.
Right.
Or trying to do.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be great, you know, if we could, I have to think that if you're a company that puts in charging stations, and if several towns got together and ordered a fair number of them, that would keep you busy, you know, for a couple of months, that would be better than each individual town having these teeny-weeny contracts, like at Harwich, we want 2, you know, and Bruce said, well, we'll take 1, you know, and it's like, who's gonna
So
come down here for
ridiculous.
that? You know, it's.
So ridiculous, yeah.
But anyway, so, keep us posted, thank you, Glenn, for being lead on this, I know it's been very frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay, our charge from the town, it's fairly recent, you know, because I remember they added Climate Action Committee.
It says here, review of town bylaws.
We haven't put that on our agenda yet, but in theory, we'd kind of looked at that when we had the building inspector guy come in. Remember, they talked about like the building codes and things like that. The one thing, I don't know about the bylaws, but we did talk to the building inspector. The one group that I really want to get to is the affordable housing group, because they're starting to put together RFPs for affordable housing, big affordable housing complexes in Harwich, and I have no idea what their energy plans are. You know, I don't know, you know, what.
Who's looking at this affordable housing and putting it in? The town?
The town, yeah, the town owns the land, you know, they have a committee,
The
they've committed money
Marceline
to
or
it,
whatever.
Marceline property up there on
Marceline.
exit 10. And there's a whole committee, and they've already started to put together RFPs.
And Valentine is,
Yeah, Valentine is, I don't think is he the chair, or I've tried to email him, I have not heard back from
When
him.
the Habitat for Humanity built the houses next
Yeah, they
door,
always put good stuff in, yeah.
They
yeah,
put all
yeah.
solar collectors on
Yeah.
every single house
Right,
to
right.
minimize the people's electric. They ought to be doing this kind of stuff
Right,
with this
right.
affordable housing, incorporating electric. I went up and inspected the brand-new firehouse a couple of years ago with Larry Cole,
Mhm.
and they had no energy features in their brand-new firehouse. I was just flabbergasted, and I tried to ask
Right.
him about, did they do a HERS rating or anything else on it? And I didn't know what I was talking about.
So, I don't know when that committee meets.
What's the name of the committee?
It's the Affordable Housing Committee, let me see if I get their exact name.
I mean, if somebody doesn't tell them that they gotta think about these things, maybe they won't, you know? Just all they gotta do is mention it to them, perhaps.
isn't it our responsibility to
Well, I mean,
interact
we're
with them?
supposed to be advising them on these things.
It says here in our chart, the committee will work with all related town departments and committees and seek the cooperation and assistance of relevant government agencies, nonprofit organizations, businesses, and the public. So it is our duty to,
And who wrote that?
this is our chart. I don't know who wrote it.
Oh.
Do you
Well,
know?
this Affordable Housing Committee, this would be on the town website, right?
Yes, that's what I'm looking at now.
In the town,
But,
in the town
My
site.
phone,
It's okay, I can look at it.
boards and committees. Harwich Affordable Housing Trust. Purpose of the trust shall be to provide for the preservation and creation of affordable housing in the town of Harwich. Yeah, Joe Powers is on that committee. Larry Ballantyne is the chair.
Right.
Valentine, like Valentine Ale?
Yep. He used to be a selectman. Application.
Okay. If I set up a meeting with Joe for the
Yeah.
charging station,
Yeah, can you-
I'll bring this up too.
Can you bring that up? I
Terrific.
mean, I can try to do, but, you know, if you can set up a meeting or something, or just find out when they're meeting and tell them we're very, very interested in looking at what they're doing for energy in their RFPs. Now, Larry, I did talk to Larry briefly at a party. I ran into him at a party. And he said, oh, no, we said in the RFP that we want, you know, it to be energy efficient. But that's
What does
very,
that mean?
yeah, what does that mean? You know, like,
Yeah.
and so.
Yeah, please,
So you can go to, if you want to, you can go to the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust and look at their meetings, just like people can look at our meetings, because they're all taped. And if you want to take a peek at what they're talking about, you can do that on your computer.
How do I find it from the website?
Yeah, you go to
Housing.
the Harwich, the Harwich Town website, and go to the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust. It's under the committees. And then you can watch, they have like a watch button. You can do that, I mean, who
For
was telling me,
anything.
somebody, one of the women that helped put this together, says she watches our meetings all the time. You know, so, because she's interested in what other energy committees are doing. So we can maybe, each of us should probably take a peek at that and see if they've mentioned it,
Yeah.
but more importantly, to find out what they're doing right now. So that I think is important, because we don't want them to get too far along on this process without really
And be left
embracing,
out.
you
This
know.
is a trust, so where is the funding coming from for the trust? Because like they always say, follow the money.
General bylaws.
so true.
Um,
So true. Follow the money.
That,
That speaks by itself.
okay, so, okay. Just, okay. the town established it. The trust shall possess all the powers and authorities set forth in the selectmen shall, so the selectmen would report back to the, I'm looking for where they get the money. I think it's town money.
So it's going from
Yeah.
taxpayers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there are state grants and things like that.
So we have to pay more taxes?
Yeah. Oh, but you're already paying for
Yeah,
it.
they're already paying.
Yeah. Funding for
It's in
this
the
has been
taxes now. How much there is, I have no idea how much.
yeah.
Our taxes are super high comparatively with other towns.
Yeah.
Not compared to like Connecticut or New
Yeah,
York. Or
True, 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 true.
The taxes
But
are-
with Chatham, Dennis, boy, the difference is enormous.
Yeah. So anyway, let's see if we can do some research on that organization and that committee and see if we can advise them, or at least see what they're doing. So if, when they
Try
put-
to advise them.
try
because-
to advise them, see what they're
because-
doing.
Yeah, I'm sure they're, that's
Eh.
a problem, they're not interested in hearing, you know.
Well, I think, you know, they go by whatever the building code is of the time. And the building code doesn't change till July, you know, so they'll have to go by whatever it is in July, you know, which would, you know, be a higher HERS rating and that type of thing. But they should be planning for heat pumps, they should not put any
They
fossil
should be
fuel.
arranging the buildings for maximum
Yeah.
solar
Yeah.
collection, so in other
Right.
words, they. put
Facing
on
them
a-
south and, you know,
A south facing either in the back or the front,
Right,
so
right.
they're thinking about it ahead
Right,
of time. Laying
exactly.
the whole plot plan out.
right, right. So that when people get, you know, they will put an RFP out, and when people send it back, it has to be explicit that
Yeah,
we need, not just energy efficient, we want them to be zero fossil fuels, we want them to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
solar, we want them to have heat pumps, we want them, you
zero
know,
fossil fuel,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
right, no gas stoves, no gas heaters, you know, let's, you know, build them for tomorrow, not for yesterday.
Right, right,
And charging stations,
yeah,
Yes.
those are the right words.
yeah.
Yeah, I can, you know, play devil's advocate on certain things. You know, somebody's gonna push back and say, charging stations, this is affordable housing, and they can afford electric cars and
They can-
affordable housing.
but-
So that's one argument,
Right,
but as far as the heat pumps go, that's a home run. And solar panels is a home run.
right, so,
Those
this-
two things should absolutely be
Because-
part of the.
yeah, because these are people who don't have a lot of money,
Yeah.
and if they are getting a lot of energy from the solar panels that help offset the cost of running their
Yeah.
houses, they should be paying almost nothing in utilities. I mean, they
Yeah,
should
yeah.
have low,
I
low,
also
low.
read an article that secondhand EV vehicles are much less expensive.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And traditionally,
That-
people
that
that
could
with
be your
affordable
argument,
housing wouldn't be
secondhand.
buying new
No.
cars anyway.
No.
So if they're buying ones that are EV, if they're just driving locally, and if they're using the solar power to recharge the car, they don't have
Right.
any expenses on the cost of the
Right.
car. And if it's a used car,
Yeah.
it may be quite a bit less than a new car.
Right, and they're not paying for gas and oil and,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
all of that kind of stuff,
And,
so,
and the electric car doesn't go to the garage. No oil change,
yeah,
no, nothing.
yeah.
These past 2 weeks, the news is just gonna keep boiling over from now till November. But
Yeah.
Biden just put a 100% tariff on electric vehicles coming
From China, yeah.
I
So
know.
when China advertises that they're selling cars that are $10,000 electric vehicles, people are going, show me that car. But then the government puts a 100%
Right.
tariff on it, and all of a sudden that car isn't quite as.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't want Chinese cars to come in
Well,
the
that's a
country.
political issue.
Forget Yeah.
it.
But I mean, you know, you're trying to make electric cars more affordable,
Right.
and then people will buy them, and without competition.
Well, but once, yeah. It's gonna be a moot point, because if Massachusetts sticks to their
Guns, right?
guns, then they won't be selling any more gas cars in 2035, and you won't have a lot of choice. I mean, you're gonna have to, and at that point, we'll just have to see. Yeah. A lot's it's gonna be, like DeSantis, he just made a sweeping he said, I want you to remove all references to climate change out of everything in the state of Florida. They can't put it on their website, it can't be in any document, they can't mention climate change in Florida government anymore.
A lot of other things you can't mention that.
Yeah.
Boy, that's
So they can't,
retrogrado.
With all these
as
storms,
Miami
every single day-
sinks, and,
Regressive.
Every single day we have another storm, like in this week it's in Houston.
Right.
And devastating, and they show it on the TV, they'd have to be just like a donkey to not understand any of that kind of stuff.
I think you're being cruel to the donkeys. They're smarter than that.
How frustrating.
Yeah, so it's very frustrating, and so I don't want to be political, but what happens in November matters,
Of course.
because it's going to be a whole new world.
I think Massachusetts, you never have a question which way Massachusetts is going to vote.
Well, we'll have to secede from the Union and join Canada or something. Anyway, so I think we can start on our advising by trying to get a hold of this committee, and if we can find out when they meet, maybe we go and we become the members of the public, to say, hey, we're here,
Yeah, yeah.
just want to chit chat,
yeah.
find out what's happening.
How's this Larry Valentine guy? Is he pretty good?
He's
easy
pretty
to talk
nice,
with?
yeah, he's a pretty nice guy, yeah, he's a pretty nice guy. That's pretty much all I have. Anybody else have anything they need to?
I'll try to meet with Joe. I'm going to be, my wife and I are taking a 2-week vacation to Yosemite and
Oh,
Sequoia.
nice.
We're leaving on the 31st, so I think
Yeah.
we're supposed to be back by June 22nd.
Yeah,
Glenn, when I was out to Yosemite about 10 years ago, and I wanted to hike up the back side of, what's that big,
Half Dome,
not Half Dome.
El Capitan.
El Capitan. I spoke to a ranger, he said there was a lot of rain that year,
Yeah.
and he says, don't do that, take the bus up to Glacier Point and hike down, it's called the Panorama Trail. It's
Yeah.
all downhill, it's like 5 hours downhill, you pick up the bus, you go back to the center of town, think about that. It's called the hike down from Glacier Point down to the valley, and it's beautiful. You're looking like you're in an airplane, and you're looking at all these waterfalls and everything else in the whole valley, and you don't have to walk up at all. You walk all down.
Yeah, my wife and I just had that conversation. But a lot of these paths, the main road just got plowed, but there's still a lot of snow in the backcountry.
This is a public bus that goes. I mean, you pay $24 for this bus ride.
But the roads have got to be clear for the bus, but they just plowed it recently, like in the past week, so.
Glacier Point. You gotta buy the tickets ahead.
I should have gone 20 years ago. I wanted to go up the backside of Half Dome, and that's a pretty strenuous hike, and I could never do that now, but 20 years ago I could
We're
have.
supposed to put in some kind of grates or cables or something on the Half Dome so you can get up there easy.
They put in the cables in June, I believe, and you also need a permit, because they got to be so crowded going up the cables.
well, that's like Zion.
Angels Landing
They
now
will,
needs
you
a
have to
permit.
make a reservation, because a couple of summers ago, there was one solid line of people going up that trail.
Yeah.
I mean, not a very good experience for the people going up there. You can't drive in there anymore, you have to park, and then you
We
have to...
stayed right outside, I think it's L something or other, right south of the Yosemite. And we stayed in a motel out there, and then we drove in every day because it was much cheaper and it was much faster to do something like that.
Well, my wife likes to stay right in the park, and she had to get up early because
Right, to actually get the...
to actually get in, and the guys even told her, in the first 15 minutes, they're gone. And we were lucky, but we got them, but yeah, she was.
Well, think about going up to that Glacier Point.
Bring us some pictures back. So you will not be here June 17th?
No, June 17th is possible. I'll check the schedule. I think it's just 2 weeks. If that's the case, I should be
Okay.
back for June 17th.
Okay.
So I,
This is the time of year you want to go before the tourists, and right when all the waterfalls are fully flowing. They've had a lot of water and rain, so it's a good time to go. The waterfalls will be in full
Please
bloom.
don't harass the wildlife. There was another video the other day of people trying to get pictures of bison, and then the herd started to chase them.
there,
And there was somebody else taking the video of these other people being chased by this herd of bison. Fortunately, nobody was hurt in that one.
that was on my newsfeed today, but now the National Park has got a poster board that shows nope or dope, I forget, over here, you know, where you're feeding the animals, and then it shows you looking at the animals over here. Then it shows you getting up close to the animals, and then the very bottom one is, you know, where
People get hurt.
you're up there with the bison.
Yeah.
And they, I don't know. So
I don't know what possesses people to do that, but
uh,
anyway.
last time we were in Yellowstone, I had the ranger pull up right behind my car, and there's a bunch of cars there, so it wasn't for me, but there was a bunch of people. There was a black bear that was ginger color, so it's pretty unique.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of people were there right on the road, and the bear was in the
Yeah.
woods. But you had this guy that was leapfrogging the trees to get right up on top of the bear. And this ranger was taking no, you know, and he got a hold of that guy because somebody reported.
Right, of course,
And
yeah.
as soon as he got him, he was, like I said, he parked right behind me. I'm listening, I'm going, you know, you watch TV shows where they say, don't say anything. And then there's also Maine Game Wardens TV show, don't say anything. And this guy's just telling them, oh, I was doing this,
Right.
this. And so they're going, oh, I can't wait to see the fine you're going to get on this one.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Oh, well. It should be fun. It should be fun. So if let me know quickly if June 17th is not going to work, because I got to let Cape Light Compact know if we're picking a different date. I got to let them know.
I'll send you
Yeah,
an email.
let me know, because I want to put that in the meeting minutes too.
Yeah, I'll send you an email tomorrow morning, if the 17th works.
Okay, that'll work. All right, so basically I'm going to get some more information for you to give to Joe about the shared person and who's doing it and all of that. And then
The shared person in which town?
the Chatham, Orleans, Eastham, Brewster.
Well, that person won't help us.
No, but maybe Joe can
Reach out.
reach out, like we did to Barnstable.
And-
You know?
Or we could become the fourth time.
But they've already
Already
approved
sent it
it
out.
and they've hired the person
I think
and.
they've already got
Yeah.
4 towns plus the Cape Light Compact
Yeah,
guy.
but the Cape Light Compact helped them, get the person. But the point being is, there's only so much one person can do when they're split 4 ways.
Yeah.
You gotta think, they can't spend much time for any one town.
However, if
Couple
they
hours of-
know one thing, they can push it on to all the other towns.
Exactly,
And
so,
that
yeah.
way, they already know what
Right.
the scenario
Right.
is like. If
And
you
they
get this
can
$50,000,
consolidate-
if you have a public spot.
Right.
And they can tell, here's the way you do it, I just did it for this other town, we
Right.
do it
Right.
for 4 different towns at
And like
once.
we said, if each of those towns orders like 5 charging stations, that's like 20, and a contractor that would make sense for a contractor to come and do that kind of work because they're gonna make the money. So we'll see. And we'll try to, get up to speed on the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust, and we'll try to find out when they meet
Are
and,
we gonna try to do this all summer? I mean, not to speak ahead, but I know you're working, and you said that once you started working, you had to be on certain days that you were off.
that's why we're here on Monday.
So are we gonna try to continue that during the
Yes,
summer?
we'll-
'Cause what
we'll-
I'm
we'll
trying
do
to
it
look
this-
ahead
yeah.
here For doctor's
Yeah.
appointments and
This
stuff
is
like that.
terrific.
Yeah, so we'll stick to Mondays for the summer, because that's my day off.
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We
because
don't have
I
to get involved
prefer
with-
to do it at 3 as opposed to try to get a key and do it,
Yeah, I know, that's
Oh,
exactly
yeah.
the reason why
It's a
mess.
I'm saying it's a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, this committee used to meet at 7 o'clock at night for years and years and years, but that's getting close to my bedtime, so.
Yeah,
I
same
ran
here.
into somebody the other day that knows you.
Oh, yeah?
I was down at the visitor center at Race
Oh,
Point,
yeah,
another seasonal
Yeah.
ranger that was
yeah,
there.
I know all of them. This is like my 28th season, so,
Wow.
yeah. Meeting adjourned at 3:40.